G'day, welcome back to the channel and thank you for joining me for part 2 of the benchtop DIY power supply. I need to do a quick preface to this, and in a moment I'm going to lose my mustache. As you may have watched in the first one, I didn't have a mustache then, and I do now, and that is because there has been a fair time in between filming those videos and now. I'm releasing it now. Filming that video. The part 2 actually never made it out of Resolve, and I had to go through and re-edit that, and at this current time while I'm filming this, I am still re-editing it, but it is almost finished, and that is why I'm here now. Thank you very much. I'm really humbled by the response. It's amazing. I really appreciate the comments, the likes, the subscriptions. Yeah, thank you very much. It really means a lot, and I hope you get something out of part 2, which we'll get into now, and I'll finish the rest of this at the end of the video. Catch you then. Hope you enjoy the video. Today we are going to put this and this into here. Then we're going to look at the design changes that I made for the Thingiverse version to solve the clearance issue, and add some supports for in areas that I'll get into a little bit. I said that I was going to do the fan control circuit in this video. I'm going to save that for another video because it's going to stretch this one out quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is hardwire the fan up and install the Wi-Fi, and then we're going to go have a look at the functionality and at this app that this thing comes with, which it appears you have to sign up to with an email, which I don't really like, really. I mean, come on. So while I've got this here, I'm just going to touch on the design a second, because I'm going to do some modifications for the copy I'm going to put on Thingiverse so that we don't have these gaps here. That's pretty much it. There's a support that I've already put in and modified the file with, although I think it got lost, so I might have to do it again. I don't know how that happened. Maybe one too many Control-Z's. So that needs reinforcing on the sides here so that when it comes down, it's supported and doesn't squeeze in. But yeah, I'll get into showing you how we'll do that. Let's get the cover off. So here we are for the design of the Bluetooth mount, and this is the object here with the through hole for the screw attachment and the through hole marking the button. Turned out I have that a little mismeasured, and so I ended up having to move that in the final mount here, but we will circle back around to that. So what I did to get the basic mount shape was I offset this surface, I offset the object, offset surface in Rhino, and that gave me this object which I have exploded into surfaces, and I've stolen these two surfaces here, and then I have joined those and offset those. I also have to subsequently come along and move my hole over, which I remeasured, marked with another curve, moved the hole, split the object, and then took the semicircle or the moon crescent shape and spun it around and rejoined it up. So that is the basic outline for, that is the basic outline for the mount. So the Wi-Fi device will be mounted up there, as you can see the mock-up over there. And I've already printed that out to test the fitting, and with a piece of double-sided tape it will fit very snugly in here and be screwed in. But this needs mounting, and I'm going to incorporate it into the print and have to modify the top there, and I still have to make the modifications to get the clearance from before in part 1. But I'm also going to make a mount for my version, which is of course the prototype, and that's going to have some screw attachments. Okay, so when it comes to making clearances on models you have done a lot of work on and don't want to start again, there's really a couple ways to do it. You can scale the whole thing and actually just shorten this dimension of it. It would be scale 1D and just, shorten it. Boop.
thing is, you throw everything out of skew. So if you select this point as your origin and drag everything down a little bit, these holes will be the 0.05 of a millimeter out of alignment. It's not a massive deal, but it sort of messes everything up. And if you're working with tight tolerances, that's just not going to work for you. So what I'm going to show you here is how to remove a very thin slice. Now down here, this is the measured distance, but I don't have anything like off the actual item. I don't have anything accurate enough to measure something this large, this long, down to half of a point of a millimeter. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a whole 0.1 of a millimeter off it. I'm thinking that should be enough. If it's not, at least it's going to cut down the filing work a little bit. Anyway, we're going to start with 0.1, and I'm going to go with that for the Thingiverse version. So there may be a bit of filing in that, but if there is, people let me know. I can take another slice off it and re-upload. So, right, what do we do? Well, this is facing the wrong way for a start, so I'm just going to mirror it there, and then I want to get myself a big old line and zoom out and go right across. What is it to make? Okay, apparently that's confusing me. And then we extrude a surface of this all the way through the object, right? Then you split the object with the surface, split the surface with the object, delete the bits you don't want, and so on and so forth. Now there is a very thin slice of object here, and there is a wall, as you can see. So then you just want to join that all up, and that should plop exactly. Oh, my vision is all messed up. There we go. Into place. Oh god. Alright, so that was not what I wanted. So with that in place there, you can see it's slightly offset down there. So we'll zoom in and move them both to the center. And now there is a little bit of clearance between the two objects. And there we go. Exciting, I know. Clearance. That's 4 minutes and 40 something seconds of your life you're never getting back. But thank you for joining me. Anyway, let's get on with rigging up that fan. Sorry, quickly, I forgot. I've just added these tabs up in here, and it's the same process of splitting and joining them to the bottom piece there. So we'll skip that and move on. We have to mount this up here, and we have to wire this in, and I'm going to cut these wires and put them onto here. So here we are, we have the top, and this will have to go in here. Now I've got to remove a hole from the top piece for the button on the other side of this PCB, and I've got to mark these holes. So I'm going to take the PCB off, and I'm going to mark that hole, and I do the other holes at the same time. Yes, I know this is not perfectly centered, but it's difficult to do in film for you, so luckily it's built into the top in the next version. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to drill that hole, and I'm going to screw it in, and I'm going to use its position to make sure I've got everything else lined up and go through it. Because this is such a fiddly thing to film, I'll probably just catch up with you after I've done it. Okay, so you can see that's in there. Now I'm just going to take this drill bit
drill through. There we go. So that's the bed there for the Wi-Fi module. And so I'm going to cut off some of this tape, stick it on here, and mount it back in. So it's taped up and ready to go, and you probably want to put this cable in first. And when you do, I want to get you to try to hear this as much as see it. Line up the pins, but you want to listen for a nice, solid click. Then you know she's in, she's home, she's happy, and it's not going to be a waste of time putting it back together.
Minutes later.
Okie dokie, so that's the Wi-Fi mounted. That needs to get plugged in back under here. You can do that later. You can see there's just enough for us to take the top off and put it to the side there. And that's what you want. That's how much length of wire you really want there. So now let's put the buck converter in this line, and then we can run it off the 24 volt. Okay, so what we've got here is a 26 to 12 volt buck converter, a 12 volt fan, and a 24 volt source. So this is the in. Yep, this is the in. And I will be pretty well just probably take these off and replace them with another set of wires. I'm going to be snipping this and soldering it to where these wires are here on this side. So I will get on with that, and unfortunately I am a top camera down, so I'll just have to quickly smash through it and use the other camera mount to film it with the GoPro for you. Okie dokie, so this is the power, this is the line to the fan. I'm going to trim this, put that in my spares tub. Spares to be sorted. Split the line out, and then that is going to get soldered onto here and here. But first I'm going to figure out my lengths exactly. So let me just bring this back over here. This device doesn't really have anywhere to mount it, so it's just going to get stuck. And I think I'll put it on the bottom because it's stuck, you know, gravity being an assistant to that whole thing. Which means that I'm going to want the extra length on this. So I think I'm going to have to add a little bit of wire to it. And no, that wouldn't have been enough anyway. So I'm going to be adding some wire to that. Then I'm going to be joining to this here. And then this will probably just be chopped to length and plugged into the 24 out. So let's get on with that. And then I'm going to get some of this for the bottom and glue it in, stick it on, and then I'm going to cut this and wire it in. It's the 3M extra strong double-sided tape. Good stuff. And that will need to come through and under, so that's got to get fed under there. And we'll just go in here. So I've taken the glue off. Just push it down. Nice and firm. And then it's just a matter of cutting these and putting them in there. So. Gotta love the silicone covered wires. Actually, it might be easier to join them together with the other ones. So I might need that soldering iron back out. Okay. Should be out. Next. Okay, I think I've got a bond there. I have to trim off a little bit of excess, but I've got a bond. It's tricky trying to get the right size to get in that hole as well. Alright, so
negative. Hopefully these aren't too small. One thing it might be worth doing, just while I'm thinking about it, might be worth adding a capacitor, but I think these caps at the end here are going to be in parallel. So when it comes down to it, are you going to go in for me? Are you going to be a bastard? No, I'm the truth, that even stick in there. Okay, I think it did. No, I don't like the quality of that in there, so I'm thinking I might just get a little bit of ever-friendly. And this is not the original electrical tape, this is the acetone gunt variety. And I don't really mind if it goes everywhere there because, you know, whatever, it's safe. Alright, so that's going to dry in there and make a nice little squidgy madoobie. And we've got our fan hooked up. So all we need to hook up now. So I've put some liquid electrical tape on here to help with the isolation and to keep it in. And so this is pins to the top, plugging in the Wi-Fi module. It's a little bit awkward, but if you've got your tweezers, just come along. And that didn't give you the satisfying click, but that's in. And then it's just a matter of putting this back on. Like so. Poking over the wire that gets stuck underneath the side there. And I can go through here. Push that button. So let's do a voltage check. There we go. That's the voltage out there. And the voltage in. It's 24. Beautiful. So here we're going to quickly look at the function. As you can see there, switch it on by allowing it to get some power, and you can use this rotary dial here to go through the functions, and the on-off switch turns on the power and off the power, not the device. This dial can be used to click through and change all sorts of options in it. However, I have found the remote to be somewhat more useful in practice. And there you can see it graphing the load I'm putting it under, which is an electric cigarette lighter. I said the C word. Anyway, here is some more of the displays. It's a pretty damn good unit, I gotta say. I don't use a lot of these options, but I have used the graph, and I'll show you that in a moment. But there you go. It's a quick run through, and here's it doing some stuff. Cutting something, running that lighter. In a moment, we're going to have a look at this thing's ripple with no load on it. So the peak-to-peak ripple when it's trying to hold a set voltage. Okay, so here is the output for the power supply for the, and it's got a total spike here, top to bottom of these spikes of about 400 millivolt. And that's putting out at 24 volts, so it's not entirely bad, but it's actually putting out at 22 minimum. So it's not putting out, I don't think it's putting out the full 24. Let's have a little look on here. And oh no, 24. I wonder why that's saying 22. Maybe it's because they got the resistor in series with that, because it's in the 10 times mode. Anyway, alright, that's that then. Let's move on. So here we are charging up a dead battery, and I'm forcing 12.6 volts in at a maximum of 1.2 amps, and it's slowly rising up.
3.5, 3.6, sorry, 0.36. So I'm gonna see if this does not bring the battery back to life. This is an experiment, but this is how that little screen on there is useful. And the remote's pretty good too. Oh, we just had a scale change? Is it a scale change? No, the voltage is still, the amperage is still rising. Gives you watt hours, amp hours in, tells you how much is going in. It's kind of odd that that's 23.4 and it's meant to be at 12.2. Anyway, let's see if this works. It's a cool little thing. Okay, so after half an hour on 12.2 volts, creeping up from 0.3 of an amp to half an amp, it's now been swapped over to the Swallow and it seems to be accepting a charge. Alright, so if this is grainy, it's because it's in 4K, not 2.7. Alright, so one thing I've noticed using this thing is that it's susceptible to high frequency feedback, freezing the circuitry, microprocessor or whatever. And there was another thing, I didn't get a battery bay for my remote. I'm gonna have to print something up for that. But yeah, and I've had this happen twice. Once was when it was plugged in but off and the welder was on and I turned it on and it was frozen when it turned on, and to reset it I had to unplug it, make sure the welder was off, turn it back on, and it was fine. And the other time was when I ran a electric arc lighter with it. Now let me find the electric arc lighter and get that set up for you, and I'll show you what I mean. It happened pretty reliably, and when I put a capacitor in line it stopped it. So I'll get that set up and show you what I mean.
So yes, there you go. I unfortunately did lose some of the footage and I've been unable to sort of chase it down. Yeah, look, I have no idea. I did save this stuff on a specific hard drive, and it should have been there. I guess it just either never got filmed, recorded, or has been deleted by accident. I have no idea. There's a lot of footage I had to go through to put the video together. As I said, it came from DaVinci Resolve, and it doesn't like to... DaVinci is meant to be able to sort of export in... It's not XML, but in some format, and it's picked up. That I've found before is really, really bad, actually. But Premiere, what you get, you might as well start from scratch, at least in some cases. So what I did was actually export what I had after going through and trying to edit it in Resolve as best I could, and then re-edited it in Premiere, and did the audio and stuff in Premiere. Shit. Microphone mic. I'm used to having it clipped to me. All I can say is that these videos were made a long time ago, getting on about a year or so, and I still have that power supply. It's in my workshop and it is used, works just the same, very much like the remote. I tend to use the remote a hell of a lot. Still to this day have not had a need to use the app. However, if you do have a use case for this, so say you're, I don't know, putting it in a vehicle, camper van, in some sort of installation where you can't get to the device easily or use the remote easily, then the Bluetooth may be the way to go. And yeah, so if you have a demand for that, I'm happy to go into it and do that, make that burner account and do it. But I really am so over having to put in passwords and my email address all over the place. Every time, it seems like everywhere you go nowadays, you go buy one thing from a shop and you're getting freaking emails forever, and you unsubscribe and then they keep coming back. It's ludicrous. So I'm really reticent to do that, especially with companies I can't go to the physical premises of and say bugger off if I ever need to. On that note, I might have to use one of those services to get rid of get yourself off those tracking things. Anyway, yes, back to the point of the wrapping up. Ranting on there, aren't I? That is it. It's a very good device, and if you're looking for something cheap and low voltage, really, to mess around with low voltage, this isn't a device that you're gonna really be wanting to do like high voltage work, like, you know, high current work with. It can do some high, like, you know, it'll do what it says it'll do, as far as I've seen, but it's still just a small little device, and that's gonna, you know, it's gonna get hot quicker than a larger, more powerful. There was that ripple. That could be from the environment it's in, as much as from the device itself. Excuse me. To really sort of isolate that, you'd have to have a more sophisticated test setup than I have there, and a quieter environment probably. I've got Wi-Fi in there. I've got all sorts of various transformers running all sorts of switching power supplies and adapters and stuff like that on that circuit and in that house. So it probably had some effect there. I'm not an expert on that stuff, and like I said in the video, I would really highly value the comments of an electrical engineer, and your insights. Yeah. So I should probably wrap up because I'm going on a bit, and yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you so much for the positive feedback for the early videos. I have heaps of stuff. If you're interested in builds, waterproofing, that kind of stuff, I've done a lot of that. You can find in the card up above. And I test that stuff quite hard. I fly it myself, I waterproof it myself, fly it myself, and I do it for my own, you know, up to my own quality standards for what I need to survive and not have to keep replacing electronics on craft that have their electronics exposed to the environment. So if you haven't seen that stuff, check it out. If you have, thank you. Anyway, peace out, fly safe, be well, rock on, and I'll catch you next time.